Okay, ladies and gents, so what's going on here? Welcome back to another video. So today I thought I would kind of settle the whole tuck rule debate game, because obviously going back to that playoff game between the Patriots and the Raiders in the 2001 Divisional Playoff game, Charles Woodson strip sacked Tom Brady, and it looked like that the Raiders were going to win that game because they recovered that fumble. But obviously after that, the referee said it was an incomplete pass, and then, obviously Patriots were allowed to retain possession. They kicked a game-winning field goal, and then, in overtime, they won the game 16-13 against the Raiders. And obviously after that game, that game set off a big chain of events. The Patriots going on to become obviously the most successful NFL dynasty of the 21st century, while the Raiders, obviously after that game, everything just fell apart for them. And obviously, my initial thoughts on that is that it should have never obviously came down to that play, because you see, the thing about the NFL is that this isn't the first time that it happened in a divisional playoff game where the outcome of the game was decided by a controversial call. Because obviously, I mean, you look at the Saints-Rams game from a couple of years ago, obviously that was clear PI, and obviously the Saints got screwed against the Rams going back to the 2018 the 18 playoff game between the Saints and the Rams, and obviously the Saints got robbed, and everybody's also probably going to be talking about that game for many years to come. But this is mainly about the tuck rule, because you see, here's the thing about the tuck rule. The same thing happened to the New England Patriots before in Week 2 against the New York Jets. When I feel like Drew Bledsoe, I think he was also hit by a New York Jets defender, and it looked like he was tucking the ball back, and obviously they allowed the Jets to, I think, to also retain possession in that game, if I remember. I think it also might have been the same game, where the Jets linebacker delivered a hit on Drew Bledsoe that injured him, and Tom Brady was then obviously started for an injured Drew Bledsoe. And obviously after that game, Drew Bledsoe never I think, Tom Brady after that game, took over Drew Bledsoe's starting job as quarterback. So obviously the same thing happened in Week 2 of the 2001 NFL season. And one thing I also want to talk about is, obviously there was also another playoff game between the Patriots and the Raiders, I think like 26 or 27 years prior. I'm talking about the 1976 divisional playoff round between the Patriots and the Raiders. Because if you guys remember that game, I think that prior to that game, last time the Patriots and the Raiders met in the playoffs was 1976, when the Patriots were leading the Raiders with I think under 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Yeah, the Patriots, all I remember is they were leading the Raiders, and Ray Sugar Bear Hamilton, a defender for the Patriots, a defensive lineman, I believe, or did he play linebacker? I forgot, but he delivered a hit on Ken Stabler, and obviously at that time it looked like it was a clean hit, and the referee decided to call some stupid roughing the passer call on Ray Sugar Bear Hamilton, when he delivered a clean hit on Ken Stabler. And that, of course, allowed the Raiders to maintain possession of the ball. That gave him new life in that game. And the Raiders beat the Patriots, obviously. So, whenever I hear about the tuck rule game, I think to myself, Patriots have also been on the end of a bad call, particularly the 1976 divisional playoff game between the Patriots and the Raiders is a perfect example. So when I hear people talk about the tuck rule game, I think a lot of people don't realize that in the NFL, bad calls happen all the time. That's just the way how the NFL is, and I guess, that's why some people, say that the NFL is fixed or whatever. Hey, I mean, if that's what you think, that's what you think, I'm not here to stop you or, prevent you from voicing your opinion. But at the same time, I think it's kind of ridiculous how everybody's saying that Patriots, benefited from that bad call, when, for example, the Raiders, they also benefited from a bad call in the 1976 playoff game between, the Patriots. And if you don't believe me, look it up for yourself, because after that playoff game, the Raiders, they went on to win 3 Super Bowls. Okay, so the Raiders, in a way, also benefited from a bad call in the 1976 playoffs. So obviously, so I think it's kind of ridiculous that people just want to make it look like the Patriots are the bad guys here, when obviously the Raiders, they also benefited. And after that game, the Patriots, that game basically cost the 1976 Patriots a chance of winning the Super Bowl. And obviously before Brady and Belichick came to New England Patriots, they've been to 2 Super Bowls, okay? one in 1985 where they got absolutely destroyed against the Chicago Bears, obviously monsters of the Midway, and then the 1996 NFL season, where they lost 31 to 25 against the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl when Drew Bledsoe was still the quarterback. So, I mean, really, this whole debate is this whole argument that the Patriots only benefited from that game is ridiculous when the Raiders themselves, they also benefited from a bad call. So, I mean, it's kind of dumb, but, I guess people are entitled to their own opinions, but I had to come on here. I thought I had to come on and, just kind of settle the whole debate between the talk rule game, and of course I'm probably going to get a lot of angry comments, but I'm just speaking facts in this video because I just think it's just dumb how everybody just wants to make it look like the Patriots are the bad guy and all that stuff, when I mean, really, the Patriots were also the victim of a bad call. So, I mean, it's like, that's just football, guys, okay? NFL is NFL. And in my personal opinion, obviously in the tuck rule game, it should have never came down to that play. Much like how in the 1976 game between the Patriots and the Raiders, it should have never came down to that play where, they called a bullcrap roughing the passer call on Ray Sugar Bear Hamilton. So, yeah, that's my whole view on that tuck rule game. And, I feel like that after that tuck rule game, I don't think it's fair to blame the Patriots for the Raiders' demise. And let me explain about why in this video. You see, because I feel like that after the 2002 NFL season, particularly, obviously the Raiders under Al Davis ownership were never the same team again. And I think that the biggest issue here is that Al Davis was reluctant to, hire an actual GM that knows how to run a football team, because Al Davis still was thinking he could do it all with the Raiders, when obviously towards his last years with the ownership, Al Davis basically had no idea what he was doing. And as you guys know, I have a lot of respect for Al Davis too. I don't want people thinking I have any sort of that I'm, trying to talk bad, because obviously I don't want people to think I'm trying to talk bad about Al Davis here, because obviously can't deny, I watched The Football Life by Al Davis, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for Al Davis, especially what he did in the NFL, because obviously without Al Davis, the NFL would not be where it is today. So obviously, man, hey, big respect to Al Davis, for what he did with the NFL, in bringing everybody together. I don't think anybody should forget about that, because in the 1970s and 80s and 90s, Al Davis, he was obviously a big reason why the Raiders won 3 Super Bowls, and why there was even such a team called the Oakland Raiders / the LA Raiders, in which now they are called the Las Vegas Raiders. But it's like towards the end of Al Davis's tenure, I feel like Al Davis should have just basically sold the Raiders to like somebody that knows how to actually run a team, because obviously I just think that Al Davis completely just was out of touch with football in his later years, particularly after the 2003 season, after the 2002 season, I feel like Al Davis just basically was too reluctant, and he was too reluctant to basically realize that obviously what he was trying to do with the Raiders just clearly wasn't working anymore. And I just think that Al Davis just basically, in a way, just I think should have, like I said before, sold the Raiders, or at least hired a GM that knows how to properly run the team. And I feel like Al Davis didn't want to do that. So obviously that's one thing that if you're a Raiders fan, you should take into consideration, because Al Davis, obviously, he shouldn't have ran, and made decisions with the Raiders. He should have allowed somebody else to, make the decisions for the Raiders. But I guess, Al Davis, him being Al Davis, he wanted to show other people that he still got it when he hadn't. But, it is what it is. But going back to the main topic, like, the talk rule game, man, I feel like that, that the whole debate right now has been settled, because obviously, like I said before, go back to 1976 and you'll see that the Raiders also benefited from a bad call. So now when the Patriots benefited from a bad call, all of a sudden that's a big issue. But then when the Raiders benefited from that roughing the passer call, nobody made a fuss about it. But all of a sudden when the Patriots, obviously had their season saved because of that game, obviously everybody's making a big deal about it. It's like, what about, the Saints, for example, deliberately injuring opposing players? Like, isn't that the only reason why the Saints won the Super Bowl in 2009 was because of Bountygate? And nobody's making a fuss about that, And I feel like a lot of that has to do, obviously, with jealousy, because obviously the Patriots have been a successful dynasty, and I just think everybody obviously just can't handle the Patriots' success. And I can understand, Patriots have been winning a lot, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that other NFL teams have made worse decisions compared to the tuck rule game. Like, for example, Look at the Saints deliberately injuring players in 2009 on their way to their Super Bowl run. Like, nobody made a fuss about that, you know? And same thing with the Rams. Obviously, you know, the Rams benefiting from that call against the Saints. You know, obviously nobody seems to want to make a fuss about that anymore, but everybody's still making a fuss about Patriots, talk rule, this and that. So I just think it's kind of ridiculous, but I mean, people are entitled to their own opinions and all that stuff, but I just had to come on here and share my honest 2 cents on the whole talk rule debate. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and peace.